Hello, my friends. Today, I want to share a story that may not only inspire you, but might change the way you see your own life forever. This is not just the story of a boy, it's the story of human nature. The story of how easily we allow fear, doubt, and negativity to become louder than our hope. It's a story about how the smallest shift in perception can turn our entire destiny around. So, wherever you are, I want you to sit back, take a deep breath, and let this message find its way into your heart. Because what you're about to hear might just be the lesson your soul has been waiting for. In a small, quiet village, surrounded by green hills and golden fields, there once lived a boy named Arav. He was smart, kind-hearted, and full of curiosity, but he had a weakness that slowly began to steal the light from his life. Arav complained about everything. When the summer sun burned too hot, he grumbled that life was unfair. When his teacher gave him extra homework, he said it was impossible. When his mother asked for help, he muttered that nobody cared about how tired he was. Every little difficulty became, in his eyes, a mountain. Every small problem became a tragedy. Slowly, this habit of complaining grew roots in his heart, and without realizing it, he began to live inside the very darkness he spoke of. At first, people tried to comfort him. His mother told him to be grateful. His teacher tried to encourage him. His friends told him to smile and focus on the good. But Arav's ears had become deaf to hope. His mind was too busy listing all the things that were wrong with his world. He didn't know that when you keep repeating pain, it multiplies. When you keep focusing on what's missing, you begin to lose sight of what's already there. The boy who could have been the village's brightest light slowly became its quiet shadow. One evening, after another long day of complaints, Arav's father sat quietly by the window and watched the sun melt behind the hills. After a while, he called out softly, "Arav, come with me." The boy sighed but followed. They walked in silence through the fields, the sky glowing red and gold above them, the sound of crickets rising from the grass. After some time, they reached a small pond still and green, reflecting the last light of day. Arav's father bent down, scooped a handful of salt, and handed it to his son. "Throw this into the pond," he said. Arav looked puzzled but did as he was told. "Now," his father said, "taste the water." Arav hesitated, then bent down, cupped some water in his hands, and sipped it. He spat it out immediately. "It's bitter," he said. His father only smiled, picked up another handful of salt, and said, "Come with me again." They walked for a while until they reached the river. The water flowed wide and strong, catching the golden light of sunset as it moved. His father gave him the salt again. "Throw it in here." Arav threw the salt into the river. "Now, taste this water." Arav bent down, drank from the river, and looked up in surprise. "It's fresh. I can't taste the salt at all." His father smiled gently and said, "My son, life's problems are like this salt. The amount never changes, but the bitterness you taste depends on the vessel you put it in. If your heart is small, like this pond, every problem will make your life bitter. But if your heart is vast like the river, those same problems will dissolve, and you won't even feel their taste." Arav stood silently, his eyes wide, the words sinking deep into him. For the first time, he understood that maybe the world was not cruel, maybe he had just kept his heart too small to hold it. That night, Arav couldn't sleep. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the pond, the river, and the salt. "If I stay like the pond," he whispered to himself, "I'll keep suffering. But if I become like the river, I can face anything." He closed his eyes and made a quiet promise to himself that from tomorrow he would try to grow. Not in size, not in power, but in heart. The next morning, when his teacher gave him extra homework, he didn't complain. Instead, he told himself, "This is how I learn." When his mother asked him to help carry buckets of water, he smiled and said, "This is how I'll grow stronger." When the heat of the sun burned his skin, he whispered, "This is just another test." At first, it wasn't easy. His old habits tried to pull him back into bitterness. The temptation to complain was strong, but every time he remembered his father's words, he took a deep breath and told himself, "Be the river, not the pond." Weeks turned into months, and something extraordinary began to happen. Arav's face changed. His eyes became calmer, his smile softer, his walk steadier. People began to notice. His teacher praised him for his effort. His friends started spending more time with him. His mother's heart filled with pride, and his father, watching quietly, knew that his son had finally learned one of life's greatest lessons. But life didn't stop testing him. There were still bad days. There were still moments when things went wrong, when the rain didn't come, when his exams went badly, when friends argued. Yet, Arav no longer drowned in those moments. He flowed through them like the river. He learned to carry his troubles without losing his peace. He learned that peace doesn't come when problems disappear. It comes when we grow big enough to hold them without breaking. One evening, Arav sat again by the river, watching it flow endlessly under the twilight sky. The sound of the water felt like music, gentle and eternal. He smiled and whispered to himself, "It's not about removing the salt. It's about becoming the river." The breeze carried his words away, and he felt lighter than he had ever felt before. And that, my friends, is the truth of life. We cannot stop the storms. We cannot control the rain or the wind, but we can expand our hearts so the storm doesn't destroy us. When you make your heart small with anger, fear, and negativity, every small problem becomes unbearable. But when you make your heart vast through love, patience, forgiveness, and understanding, even the greatest problems lose their power. So, the next time you face something difficult, remember this story. Don't curse the salt, don't fight the storm, grow your river, expand your heart, choose calmness over chaos, choose understanding over blame, choose peace over panic. Because peace is not the absence of problems, it's the strength to carry them with grace. If you can learn to do that, you will realize that problems don't shrink. We do. And when we choose to grow again, every problem becomes small. So tonight, before you sleep, close your eyes and ask yourself, am I being the pond or am I being the river? Because the day you decide to become the river, life itself begins to flow in your favor.